Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are Uncouth Radio. We are in the house, and the house is packed. We got my man, the Crypto Worm, aka Ron. We got Q the Rebel. I'm Dane Crawford. Of course, I know everybody here to talk about what they think we here to talk about, but I guess we call it the slap her around the world. But I want to talk about it, but I want to talk about it from a different perspective because I don't know if anybody saw my page, but when I posted on my page, I said, "Yo, the whole Will Smith shit made me sad." That's literally all I said about it. Like I didn't condemn him, I didn't condemn Rock, I didn't say if it was right or wrong. I literally just said it made me sad.
Right.
And it's funny because me saying it made me sad, people made their own assumptions of what I meant by it made me sad. But let me tell you what made me sad about it. In that moment, I saw something that we see so often in the LA streets or just in general. I saw this aggression that black men only hold for each other, that we don't hold for anybody else. I think we've talked about this on the show before, Quincy and Ron, how like at some point in our life, we even had to really reprogram ourselves and how we looked at brothers, how we interacted with brothers. Because the first inkling used to be the mad dog or to size somebody up and not smile and not engage and not say, "Yo, what's up, my brother?" Like and break that ice. And it's funny because as I do it now, you see how many times they let their defense down when you like, "Hey, how you doing, my brother? What's going on, boss man? How you feeling?" Like they're like, "Oh, you speak it to me and it's respectful." And so it's like at some point we've been programmed to kind of hold this aggression towards each other. And I feel like we saw that on display on a world stage, that aggression that black men only hold for each other and no one else, and maybe even not for the people who deserve it sometimes. So I just want y'all to speak on that for a minute and tell me if you agree with me, if you disagree, if you feel the same way about it. Let's talk about it.
Go ahead, Ron. I'm still processing my thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, and hopefully I can get through this without getting froze or anything. But it's a great point you're making, Dame, about just the different nuances that have come from this initial incident that happened over the weekend, and it's really it's really eye-opening to see some of the conversations that have spun from this, from black men not wanting to protect women to black women feel that Chris Rock is a bit more at fault, and it's just a lot of different perspectives. But you're right. I think we've definitely, me and you specifically, have had the conversation about black people having more anger towards other black people, and it again, unfortunately, everything stems from slavery. It stems from us having always been pit against each other. We really could never fight against anyone else without being basically, having the sink thrown at us illegally. So what we were able to do is to take that anger out on each other, and it was actually applauded. And we get lauded for fighting and slapping, and sort of using violence against each other. Where the problem comes is where we then take that same type of anger and use it on someone else. That's when it's then taken and spun into something that makes us look like beast. We're thugs. We're something that, and I think Roland or someone else on his show was speaking on is that, unfortunately we, or actually Shannon Sharp mentioned it. We're kind of judged as black men by our worst. The worst thing a black man does is something that we all have to carry weight for. Whereas, white men can have a Trump exist and carry no weight of Trump at all. It's just Trump. He's who he is, and that's just a benefit and a privilege that we don't have in America. And I think it's really important that we have this conversation because we have to find a way to solve problems without violence. That's really my opening statement. I'll think about more and kind of come back to this.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do tend to hold a sense of aggression towards one another that we don't have or that we should have towards others in these moments. And it's a shame because it is celebrated and applauded. But I also think on the flip side, and I think a lot of the misunderstanding of black men is that I think that's why a lot of black men didn't agree with what Will did. And because we know that a lot of us we have a certain code and creed that how we communicate with one another. That ain't the way how a lot of us really handle it. You know, when a lot of times when people feel like, you know, a black man not standing up or not, you know, really standing up for his woman or whatever, a lot of times we understand that the theatrics, the dramatic scene, that normally leads to somebody going to prison or getting killed. So I can truly say I know a lot of black men who, because of that, and we have that understanding, and we also know that how guys are when there is an audience and they feel like they've been fronted on, that a lot of us in a more productive way, we pull somebody aside. And there's something about pulling a man aside when he know there's no women around, there's no other dude, it's just me and you. And we're gonna have this conversation about your disrespect. And I think a lot of us understand that, and that's why you saw a lot of black men have their feelings about what Will did. I don't think it had anything to do with black men having an issue with a man defending a black woman. That whole spin, I'm sure we're gonna get into, but it goes to a lot of understand us, and we understand how we need to communicate with one another, and we know that what Will did in most cases that have led many of black men to cemeteries and in prison. You're mute.
I'm glad you said that, Q, because like I said, I keep going back to my original comment of, you know, that made me sad. And I think it made me sad for all the reasons you said, and also because we all, as dudes who grew up in the hood, have been in and seen situations where dudes have died for those kind of situations, right? Like we seen cats who 17, 19 years old, and we thought that was like the shit back then, and now we here in our 30s and 40s, and we like, damn, dude didn't let past 20 for some shit. You know, that could have been easily solved with, like you said, with pulling somebody to the side or a conversation. Or even if we want to talk about, because I was just talking about this last week, about holding each other accountable for behaviors. When we was talking about the Kanye thing, right? When we was talking about the Kanye shit, we was talking about holding each other accountable. I think if he did feel like Rock did something specifically to hurt, like if he thought he purposely did something to hurt Jada, I think Will is powerful enough that he could have literally just said, "Keep my wife's name out your mouth," and it would have had the same effect.
From his seat.
Yeah. Or even if he was gonna walk up there, you know, you put him in the hood headlock, and you need to chill the fuck out. Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think if he would have just said it from his seat, like, "Hey, keep my wife's name out your mouth," right where he was, Chris Rock would have that would have nipped it.
Right. And you know, and like for me, again, it was like, I don't know, it's almost like I had flashbacks watching that. Flashbacks to situations that I've seen go super bad that didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like flashbacks I've seen like where, and like because I was trying to figure out like why did that affect me so much? You know what I'm saying? Like watching that, because like I didn't, after I saw it one time, I couldn't watch it again. Like I didn't keep watching the slap, or when people was making the joke memes, I couldn't even watch it. You know what I mean? Because it had affected me in a way that I didn't expect it to affect me. And I tried to figure it out, like, oh, you know why? Because I've seen this play out other ways, and it brought those things up for me. Like I've seen this play out where somebody fire on somebody because of an argument, somebody go pop the trunk, somebody's gone. You know what I'm saying? Just like, and not once, like I've seen this a lot of times throughout my life. And then I've seen on the flip side, you know, somebody who's not black do something, and that same kind of aggression that black men hold for each other, that don't get carried out when it's somebody who's not black. You know what I'm saying? And again, like that, like, so that's the thing that I say, like, yo, it makes me really sad that even seeing somebody, well, seeing two of our black icons,
Yeah,
in that, like, it's disappointing, like, regardless of what side you stand on.
Yeah, I think that's the part that really hurt, because rarely there's somebody people less alike and then somebody you love in these type of situations. It's very rare two people who are actually loved by us, the Black community, and at odds like this. I think that's the thing that have really put folks really at odds, because up until Sunday, neither one of them was ever perceived by a villain or somebody that we just, got a love-hate relationship. It's been love all the way across the board with these two. And I think that's the part that because I like Will Smith. I've always been a fan of his, and I like Chris Rock. But it was the sense of disappointment, like you said, of actually seeing that shit and seeing, and like, Ron mentioned, that like this shit, we get judged as a group, whether we like it or not. We Will Smith, we Chris Rock, and depending on what side or who we condemn or whatever, that's how we're gonna be judged.
Yeah, and what's even crazier, because I want to make sure I make this point clear. I don't care about the fact that it happened at the Oscars in front of people. If this would have happened at a Diddy party, I would have been disappointed, right? Like, I'm over the behaving for white folk shit. So I want people to be clear. I don't give a shit that they like, oh, this set us back. No, it didn't, because whoever thought niggas was niggas before last night, they gonna think niggas is niggas again tomorrow. So it ain't even about that. Like, I don't care about that. I care about us and how we treat each other and how we view each other. So I want to make sure I make that clear.
It should set us back amongst us.
Yeah,
like amongst us, it should set us back.
It's funny how people look at that, and it only set us back in one way. But I also saw another Black man hold his composure, right, and be professional, and kept the show moving as well. So if you're gonna condemn us for Will, please give us credit for the way how Chris Rock handled himself, because pretty much the show was up to Chris Rock after he was slapped.
Right.
Because Chris Rock could have easily ended the show. Like, if that was most people that we know or ourselves, I could speak for myself, I would have been throwing Oscars at Will ass. Like, literally launching him.
You could have tripped him. Gave him a little trip,
like, this nigga is really up here throwing trophies at people. Because, they would have the show would have been a wrap. So if you're going to condemn us for Will, please give us credit for Chris, because he did something that I bet you a lot of people didn't think Black man was capable of, and that's maintaining his composure and still be professional, getting the job done after being, I always been taught being slapped and probably being spit on was probably the worst 2 levels of disrespect a man could ever get, and he got one of them.
He got one, yeah. Hey, Shan, can I ask Shan a question? Something I did notice recently is that, and I've seen it on roll in a few different shows, is that now I'm being told that Chris Rock has been misogynistic, and I'm not necessarily saying at times. They were kind of referencing it as if this has kind of just always been his shtick. From your standpoint, has that always been the case? Because I know maybe I never saw it that way. I always looked at Chris to be more of a political comedian, but I'm looking for a woman's opinion on this. Like, was Chris always this way? Did he always come off as misogynistic, or?
I have had that same perspective. I've always thought of him, when I think of Chris Rock as a comedian, I think of him as a political comedian. That mostly stands out. His Oscar jokes and award show jokes, and of course, those are monologues that they probably don't even write, to be honest. Right. So that's never been a thing where I've said, oh, Chris Rock is misogynistic. And it's also pretty hard to label a comedian like that, because pretty much everybody is what do you call it? Fair game.
Fair game.
They make fun of everybody. They, I don't there was I think one of the Wayans brothers posted like a spoof that they did. I think it must have been an award show. I meant to post it to us.
Yeah.
And it was basically like they were making fun of everybody, and then all of them came on the stage and like beat him up. It was like a joke, but he was like, when art imitates life or whatever. So it's I think we all established that it really wasn't about the joke. and it goes deeper consequence wise, which is why I like the way you kind of approached it, Dame, because we dissected it a whole bunch of different ways. But from that standpoint, and then also Quincy's point of, hey, you know, let's give this black man, you know, his props, and then also too, you know, for Will to apologize. I kept saying, you know, he owes Chris Rock an apology, and they were like, oh, he's not gonna. He should have. You know, he should have, because even when he got up there first to do his speech, I thought maybe he would, but you know, he was still already all over the place. And that's hard to do as well. So, you know, it just was an unfortunate. And I think, Dame, when your post was probably the one when you were like, this makes me sad. Like, that's how I felt. When I saw it, I was like, this is sad. This is sad to see. Had nothing to do with the white people, had nothing to do with the Oscars. Don't care. No. I was actually more upset about Megan Thee Stallion's rap on Bruno. I thought that was stupid.
Yeah, that was going to be my issue for the night. Like that was ready to go off on. That's right. Shit I had a problem with.
That was more my beef, but it was sad. It was like I hate to see this. I hate to see this. You know. So, but no misogynistic. No, I would say no. I say when I think of him, I say he's a political comedian to me. Mostly, that's where but you know, the spin doctors are going to come out. Misogynistic has to be thrown out at least once a day somewhere for somebody. So, you know, we can pick apart every comedian's joke and say it's misogynistic.
Pretty much, because most female comedians go at dudes. That's right. That tend to be a lot of some more Monique. You go back, you look at shit. Old Def Jam to Dale Givens.
I think you think about it. One thing with almost any comedian, I think you're probably going to talk about the opposite sex because it's part of the human experience for us.
But
you know what I mean?
I would say this about Chris, and I would say this probably Chris and Chappelle was the first where I was like, oh, these niggas go at white people hard.
Yeah.
Like they actually like, you know, I can't really think of too many comedians in our era that I'm like, oh shit, like they like going at white people and this is about how you really feel type shit. And you know, and then the political stuff. So I don't know. I never saw him as somebody that was misogynistic at all. But of course, you know, not everybody liked Chris Rock. So, you know, people like their preference. They had it like comedians, and you know, his joke on female probably stand out to others more than some who kind of, you know,
right.
Him as a political.
Well, to be honest, I'm you know about the joke. I don't think had Will Smith not reacted, nobody would have thought twice about that joke.
I didn't even get the joke.
I mean, basically, Demi Moore had shaved her head for a movie for G.I. Jane.
G.I. Jane.
And then he just was like, I can't wait for G.I. Jane 2.
I'll tell you what, that would piss me the fuck off. If they do make a G.I. Jane 2 and it's a black woman with a shaved head and you motherfuckers out there cheering it on, I swear I'm going to go the fuck off.
What if Jada do it? What if Jada actually
I'm going to go the fuck off.
Well, if she does it, then she owes Chris Rock an apology.
I swear I'm going to go the fuck off.
Chris Rock going to be in the movie. They're going to make this right.
They're going to do something.
So that's what we need to understand this as a whole. I have no doubt they're going to make this right. You know, they're two intelligent black men or just two intelligent black families. And so they're going to make it right. But what they need to come out, like you guys were mentioning, is Will needs to come out and make a public apology to Chris. They maybe need to do a round table. Maybe Jada should let them have the round table for a day where they can kind of talk about their trauma, you know, for one day and go over this.
I don't think Chris ready yet.
No. I wouldn't say right now. No. It's going to take time. But you know,
I mean, he came with a public apology, but I do think he owes him. Hopefully he personally apologized, or maybe he hasn't.
I don't know. It sounds like Tony, his brother, is not happy.
Yeah. I've hung around Tony. Tony is a little different.
Yeah, Tony is not happy.
The show would have ended.
Yeah, Tony like
that was Tony Rock.
Somebody
Tony
said
is to Chris with
with Charlie Murphy is the Eddie.
Is Eddie. Exactly.
they asked Tony like, was you there? He like, fuck no. Like,
Yeah. I've hung out with Tony Rock before, cool dude, but he ain't Chris.
Hey, I agree with Angela right here. She said we don't need to see Will or Jada for 6 months.
Leave that
minimum.
motherfucker.
Like,
I was
mean,
just saying, I was just saying Will and Chris.
That table is the reason why Sunday happened.
Right.
Leave that fucking table out the situation.
Exactly. I signed a petition to not see them after, but I guess it didn't. Nothing
it didn't
happened.
work. Yeah, man.
But yeah.
But like
yeah,
I said, for me, it was more about.
Yeah.
For me, it's more about because we on this show, and even like Charlemagne and the Breakfast Club, everybody's kind of started to get to this place talk about Black healing. You know what I mean? Like it became like it's in style for Black folks to try to heal. So then when you see some trauma rear its head like that, you know what I'm saying? It's just
really unfortunate. It seemed like we were taking 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. You know, with that, it was very unfortunate. It was like watching something that just was completely out of. It was like I thought we moved past this type of interaction with each other. Like we talk about uplifting each other, Black men uplifting Black men, and da 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 da. Like y'all were saying, y'all know as Black men, there's a million different ways that it could have been handled if it really was about the joke, which we know it wasn't because he laughed in the beginning. So we could leave that. We could leave that alone.
And,
so
I just want to tell y'all too, honestly, and Quincy can attest to this, honestly, from experience, there have been times that women have wanted us to check guys in a certain manner. Like they wanted us to humiliate dudes.
Didn't I literally bring this up yesterday?
I promise you, and I'm not making this up. There were times that women wanted us to humiliate certain people
on this show.
Yeah, on this show. And I was like, no, that's not how we get down. Like we pulled that such to the side and we had a private conversation. You know what I mean? And then they were mad at us because we didn't want to humiliate them. So I was like, so it wasn't about fixing the issue. It was about the humiliation, right? It was about humiliating.
It was. And you know what, to be honest, with her reaction as well, you know, which we watched, she just sat there. She didn't comfort her husband. She didn't, well, besides being the catalyst to him even doing something. Afterwards, when he's upset and acting like an insane person and, you know, he's yelling twice, she didn't move. She just sat there.
Well, you know what? You know what I said?
And that told me a lot.
Well, you know what I was going to say. You know what I said? And because you know how everybody's talking about, well, you know, he felt like he was protecting his woman. He probably did. But also in that moment, I feel like, and this is just from my perspective from being married, at that moment, his wife should have protected him too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's been times when somebody has said something out the way and I was about to go left. And then my wife had to be like, so you about to act crazy and just leave us with no man in the house because of what he said. You know what I mean? So she like I understand your instinct to go, but also is that worth this over here? You know what I'm saying? And then so there were times where me thinking I'm about to protect her, she had to protect me by saying, hey, yo, chill out. And I was waiting. I think I was waiting for that moment from Jada there as well. Like I was waiting for her to be like, hey, we are at the pinnacle of Black excellence right now. Let's, you know what I'm saying? Let's
she did,
chill.
and she did not move even afterwards when he was upset.
So, and that's like I said, that's just from my perspective of how I've been handled in situations where I wanted to get reckless because of something somebody did or something somebody said. She knows me and she knows me well enough to be like, hey, yo, chill out. And I trust her enough to chill out too. You know what I mean?
But I mean, damn, you're taking all my points. So I got to check all the shit I was going to say. Because I was going to bring up, I literally told Chandra about that example when someone felt like we should have been defending women in a way to humiliate somebody on this show. And then what they was able to do is convince somebody else
to do their dirty work.
To do it, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was praised and perceived to be a real man. Now I know I probably just told a lot of people who that was. But in the private conversation, he had the least to say. And it was probably me and you doing the majority of the talking, which we have, I would say things have gotten better from that perspective of what the issue was. But it was crazy how we was criticized as being neighbors, and we didn't, and like I said in my very first statement, Black men, we do communicate. I know this is perceived notion that we don't talk, we don't check one another, but what we do understand is we also understand that another man, if he feel like this is just for front and this not about fixing the issue or the problem, you just trying to front me off to make yourself look good, that is what had led a lot of Black men to prisons and cemeteries when God felt like they've been fronted on. And I've talked with a couple. Oh, y'all just mad because it's this. I don't know too many Black men who don't stand up for their women. Like, where is this label of
these murders come from?
That Black man. Oh, when the last time you saw a Black man stand up for their woman? I'm like, who the fuck are y'all hanging around? Like, who are you?
Well, I mean, just to interject for a second on that, I don't know too many Black men who don't stand up for just the Black women around them. Like, I'm not married, and I know for sure y'all are all going to stand up for me in some way, shape, or form, and if need be. And I don't have to even ask y'all to question that.
Now, it might not be in a very dramatic, theatric way, and I remember somebody making a list about certain women they wanted to mess with, and they was checking off people, and somebody's wife was on that list. It wasn't a big Facebook back and forth. It was, let me slide into this nigga inbox and tell him to remove my wife off his fucking list. And that was just as effective. It was respectable. I'm coming to you as a man. He understand. He was coming to him as a man, and he understand he was being respected as a man, and it got resolved without that point was made that you don't put my fucking wife on no list. That was the message was sent. Both people understood where the other one was coming from, and that was done. And there's a way of just handling things. There's other ways, and I put myself on blast. Well, because I let someone said something about my kids, and I popped up at the nigga door.
Right.
Yeah, in a moment I was heated, but that shit was dangerous.
Right.
Because I don't think I knew where I was for about an hour.
And you know what? Then I'm gonna tell you guys this. He knew not to call me and tell me where he was going. He knew not to. Why? Because I would have been like, Quint.
Yeah.
He knew what would have happened. I would have talked him down because I know, dude, you're not gonna put yourself in that dangerous situation. And that's why he called me when he was on his way back.
Yeah, because and I was ready, whether he wanted to fight, use nunchucks, swords, or guns. I was ready for all levels of battle. But it was, looking back, it was a very dumb thing for me to do, especially with people not. Damon Cedric didn't even know where I was until I got there. Nobody knew where I was. Yeah. And that was dangerous. But yeah, I was standing up for my family, protecting my kids. But I also put myself in the situation that if that shit could have went sideways, I probably would have ended up in prison. Or I mean, who knows? Dude could have took me out because I showed up at another man's house.
Right.
And so
we have to have people to like have our back and be able to talk us down from those crazy situations. And that's what I feel like she didn't do, because it could have even stopped after that. Like, he didn't even have to, for me, even after he went up there, slapped whatever he did, even him yelling and all that could have been, look,
well,
calm
and,
down.
and,
like, it's
and
already, we've already,
yeah, and that's the thing I want to talk about too in regards to like how we handle things, because Quincy is correct. If it looks like you trying to blast somebody for like the look of it, things look way different. You know what I mean? Things look way different. I'm glad you said this, Kamala, because I have posted on And she said, my husband corrected me in making a false equivalent between him and Will because his protection of us isn't reckless.
Yes.
And
Good.
And I'm glad he
Good.
said that because she had came on one of my posts like, I want my husband to protect me, and and I think her husband, who's probably similar to me, was like, yeah, I'll protect you, but then there's a way that we could go about it.
Yeah, because real quick, her husband understand, and most black men, I gotta protect you so you can make sure that I'm here to protect you from the rest of this way, not just this incident, but that I'm here for years and decades to come to protect you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to tell a lady on a post who posted, if my man ain't slapping niggas like Will Smith, then I don't need him. And
That's
so I
dangerous.
just had to put on there. Well, that the reality is that that's okay.
Well, first of all, nigga, you ain't got Will Smith money. He probably don't have Will Smith money to do that.
But still though, when that happens here and that man ends up dead, I don't want to hear, oh, woe is me, oh, this and that. We have to learn how to do this stuff without violence because we take things to the extreme with each other. We don't normally just let shit go. So we have to take a couple seconds, take that all in, and talk to each other,
And why do we think that protection means physical?
Violence. Because
protection is not always physical.
That's the only way we know how to express anger. And anger is not something people are used to dealing with in a rational way.
And you know why? And you know why it's dangerous for it? Because I saw a lot of women make that type of statement.
Me too.
Which dangerous about that statement? Will Smith did something about only like 5 black men could like actually do on this earth, and like 3 of them was probably there that night. Get on stage in front of millions of people, slap a man, go back to your seat. Come back, win an award, give a speech justifying your actions through the character that you was portraying, and then go home and then go party. It's about 5 black men that can actually pull that shit off. Wait, let me back up. Not after you slap the man, you turn your back on him.
Right.
You turn your back on him. That shit could only have about 5 black men could do that shit. And like I said, probably 3 of them was there that night. Denzel, maybe Chris. And I don't know after that, probably 2 more, but not too many black. If you think your man, just any old nigga in the club, is gonna slap a man and then turn his back on him and just go sit back down, you got another thing coming.
He at least deserved to trip his foot. He could have swept the leg, man, and when Will would have tumbled down that stage, that'd have been even game.
Like I said, Chris, I have to give props to Chris Rock because anytime a man does something I know I ain't capable of doing, that. And also, man,
Chris was protecting his family.
Yeah,
he was protecting his kids. See, he knew if I react to this, that's going to be the end of me. See, Will Smith can slap me on TV, but if Chris Rock come back and rock his world, it's over for me.
Well, because like I said, if Chris retaliate, he ends the show. That show is over. If Chris Rock would have fired on Will Smith on that stage and they started scrapping, the show pretty much is done. I don't think the Oscars come back on if they actually started scrapping on stage like that.
Agreed.
So I think. Also, I mean, it's just disappointing because I just feel like Chris Rock is a legend. He also deserved at least the benefit of the doubt and enough respect to be pulled aside if it felt like, the joke was too much. But like Chandra said, I think we all know that it was more than that one joke because we didn't hear worse shit.
Would it have meant something different if he punched him? Because as we know, slave masters used to slap their slaves in public.
Yeah.
So that's also a mental thing that a lot of people I've heard a few people mention.
It was an extra layer of disrespect there. You know what I mean? It was an extra layer of disrespect there with that, for sure.
But I was just sick of this notion that black men are just mad because he protecting his wife, and when the last time he saw a black man protect his wife, I'm like, I don't know who the hell y'all hanging around. But every black man I pretty much know, if you say something about his woman, your ass better. I know a dude that's like a real life Norbit. Niggas straight like their relationship. That could have been about their relationship. And even his nerd ass,
Protect
if
his
you
wife.
say something about his wife, you better be ready to fight.
So, Quit, you was asking like who you don't know who these people are. I got a few ideas, just kind of looking at posts online. I got a few ideas of who may run into these types of men. And my only message to those people is that there has to be something that inside of you says, you know what, if I'm attracting these type of people that don't want to protect me, maybe it's the way that I'm acting that make them feel as if they don't need to protect me. Or maybe it's some of the things I say and do towards men. So there's a whole nother nuance into what you just mentioned in that case. And that also needs to be addressed because we're out here getting attacked. Like we got attacked and now we're getting attacked. So like we getting like a triple attack here. Will made that action, Chris did this, and then now black men are getting attacked online. It's like we're in a no-win situation. And so it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting dynamic to me because I figured it was going to come down this road, whereas what happened there was somehow our fault. And so it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
I just think that a lot of you women out there is like you just gonna stand here and let him talk to me like that? Like, look, I seen, like Dame said, I seen it from a law enforcement perspective. I seen it from a life perspective. If it's 6 dudes standing outside the gas station and one of them call you a bitch, I don't know who you with, but do you really want your man to go address that situation at that moment? Now, what I have seen, and I have literally seen this happen, it was a bunch of dudes disrespecting a man's woman. He didn't address them there, but what he did do, he caught one of them by themselves, one-on-one, and he had a man-to-man conversation with him. And he told him, I didn't expect, I didn't appreciate you and your boys disrespecting my lady like that. Now, I'm coming to you as a man, blah, blah, blah. Now, if he had addressed it when he was around all his other boys, I'm sure that conversation goes a little different. But the fact that when he did catch one of them by himself, he had a man-to-man conversation, and there was an understanding that was taken away from that conversation. And sometimes, like I said, to avoid prison or going to the cemetery, sometimes you're not going to get the big dramatic theatric slap in the face in front of everybody type scene. Will Smith did that in an environment that he knew he could get away with it. And not every man is in that same environment to do what he did in order to defend his wife. So don't get this don't let that fool you thinking like your dude could just go up to niggas and just slap them and it's gonna and the other guy's gonna act like Chris Rock.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the thing I was trying to address too, because all that you said, Quincy, about the approach, right? Because we as black men, we are the ones who are in these situations. So we know how you have to approach these situations, and we know how we have to move, because we know we could be shot over some ego shit. Easy.
Every altercation with a black man is a life and death altercation. Like, think about that. If you get into it with a black man, this may be a possibility that you could die. You don't know if you beat him up, he come back. I mean, you could die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just want people to be a little more aware of real life consequences for people who ain't Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Like, for people who don't have the privilege to be able to slap somebody and not get an assault charge or not get a bullet in your ass. Because that's what your dude that you want to slap people, that's what he gonna get. He get an assault charge or a bullet in his ass. So just keep that in mind when you trying to send your man out there to, do that. But again, like Quincy said, most black men, they are not letting nobody talk wild to their wives. They're not letting nobody talk wild to their women and just sitting there not doing it. Like you said, I don't know who y'all dealing with, who y'all hanging around with, where that seems to be the norm in your head, where dudes is just letting people say, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, because I haven't seen it. But almost anytime I seen a black man get respected in front of me, there were consequences and repercussions one way or another. So we could leave it there, man. And again, for me, I'm saddened just because I don't like the amount of aggression black men hold for each other, and I hope we can heal our traumas to be able to love on each other more and deal with each other more gracefully. That's all it is for me. I want us all to learn to deal with each other more gracefully and not feel like the first instinct is the mad dog, a black man when you see him on the street. Your first instinct ain't to size the black man up when you see him on the street. Your first instinct ain't to think that he's your enemy. Like that's what I want to change, and that's the thing that it makes me think about, right? Like I don't want that to be our norm anymore. You know what I mean? I want us to pick, choose, and fight the battles that we need to fight, and not create battles amongst ourselves and amongst each other, because nobody wins when the family feuds. So let's talk about Clarence Thomas and his wife Jeannie. Basically, she was like, so look, man, I'm just gonna give y'all a disclaimer. The more and more things that I've seen since the January 6th insurrection, the more I lose faith in this system that I already didn't have, but it's getting worse. Like when you see Jussie Smollett getting more time than most of the people who actually stormed the Capitol, that was crazy to me. Even though it got overturned and all that, he was going to be doing more time than a lot of the January 6th insurgents that have been sentenced so far. And it don't seem to be being taken seriously by anybody in this country, Democrats or Republicans. I don't think nobody's really taking it seriously. And now you have, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's on Merrick Garland. That's what he's the fucking attorney general. That's what he's supposed to be doing. And when you got prosecutors resigning because they saying there's enough charges to indict Trump on shit, and they feel that for whatever reason it's not going to happen. Like, you're the attorney general. This is on him. This is what he gets fucking paid to do, and he's the highest level of law enforcement in the country. Do your fucking job. That's what it comes down to. A federal judge that came out and said it was more than likely that Trump committed felonies.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that make it worse. We keep hearing this shit, Quincy, right? You keep getting these headlines. It looked like Trump committed a felony. It looks like there were people who, senators and people who were a part of the insurgency inside who were giving people information. Like all these things you keep seeing, but then it's like you keep seeing these headlines that make it clear that there were some laws broken and no consequences.
Yeah. Merrick Garland, I mean, you're the fucking attorney general. Look, it might look like, and I'm thinking he probably worried about the wrong shit, and that's like might look like Biden attorney generals going after his opponents. But if the fucking evidence is there that crimes are actually being committed, which, like I said, a federal judge said that it's more than likely Trump committed felonies the other day, then who gives a fuck what everybody says when the evidence is backing up your charges? Yeah. So Merrick Garland need to get on a fucking job, or we need to put pressure on Biden to get another attorney general, because for some reason he fucking sitting on his hands. Shit, the girl in I ain't gonna disrespect her like that. The black DA female in Georgia is putting more fucking pressure on Trump than the attorney general, because she's trying to charge his ass with voting with interfering in elections in Georgia, because that would be a state charge. So she could do that, and to me, she's doing what I think Merrick Garland should be doing. Is one of the reasons why I don't think the attorney general should be elected by a president. I think the attorney general should be elected official, but that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, so, and I want to give everybody the quick breakdown. So basically, Clarence Thomas is a Supreme Court justice, and his wife Jeannie was basically texting Trump's number 2 in command, basically trying to push him to push the January 6th insurrection. Now, they have a commission that has been going to they have evidence that has been going to the Supreme Court And Clarence Thomas has been ruling on this, knowing that his wife probably was texting. He was ruling on the information that they could get to investigate, and he hasn't recused himself. And they say, well, they can't make him recuse himself because basically the Supreme Court gets to police themselves. So again, I'm like, well, then this whole shit is a joke. If he can literally, like, because every lower court, you can't do that. Every lower court, there is an ethics commission. There, every lower court, there are consequences if you are knowingly on a case and it's a conflict of interest. So why not for the highest court in the land? Why is there not some kind of safeguards in place for things, for things like this to not happen? Because they want, the more powerful they are, like the more powerful you are, the less checks and balances there are going to be.
One of the most, what's the word that I want to use? One of the most, I would say, inaccurate statements or beliefs in this country is that the Constitution is like solid. The Constitution is fucked up. It's completely fucked up. It's loopholes. It's contradictories. It actually needs to be fucking destroyed and redone. Be honest with you. The Constitution is, you got to remember, like, where this country was when that shit was written. It was like 30 fucking people here and like 4 states. Like, the Constitution is outdated because you got all these loopholes, things that wasn't written, things that could have been said, all that, and that's where you have these shady bastards always tend to find the loopholes in it. They always now what could happen, which I think if they could connect him more with what his wife was doing, is Congress could impeach him. But then,
and that's the thing, and I don't even feel like they got the balls to do it, Quincy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they, like, because I feel like where they are now, because if you really, honestly, if you really broke it down, if you said a Supreme Court justice wife was in on an attempted coup, that would really be enough to impeach him. On it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, his wife was in on an attempted coup of the government, but it's not.
What I would say, you would have to at least prove that he was aware of it. In order to me, I don't give a fuck. I don't like Clarence Thomas. I impeach a nigga just based on that. I get it. I'm just like,
right.
I impeach a nigga on a whole bunch of shit, but we got laws and rules, and sometimes we got laws and rules.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I think you would have to connect him with or prove some type of way he knew about it. I think you're impeaching, because I think he could be impeached. Now the challenge is that stinking ass Senate, whether to have him removed, because that's the goal. Yep. I don't give a fuck about him being impeached. I want him removed.
No, exactly.
And because for black folks, Clarence Thomas is a fucking problem when it comes to, us getting things through and passed and everything else. What's Ron? The thing Ron always say, all skin folks ain't kin folks.
Yep. Man, you can tell. Look at his wife and tell that. Man. But Dane, you might want to zoom out a little bit though, because there's a bigger thing at play. And I think you touched on it with your sort of waning belief in the system. The system is working exactly the way it was designed, and it's actually designed to counter check itself. So when it kind of strays off and starts helping people a little bit, it then weans its way back over this way to come back and correct itself. So it's kind of like a course correct thing, where this system is basically designed to allow the white supremacist system that's in place to maintain itself. They're not getting rid of the Constitution. We all understand that they should, but reality is so. What do we do?
Right.
What do we do? You could definitely amend it. They amend it for other shit. They can definitely amend it when they feel like it. But he definitely should recuse himself. I mean, it's the most obvious fucking conflict of interest. you can see. I mean, that's out there. But I don't know why we on political stuff. I think because of all this fucking drama that we should at least acknowledge that the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act
Finally passed.
was finally passed. They've been trying to pass the anti-lynching act for 100 years, since I think 1919 was the first attempt. They tried to get an anti-lynching bill passed on a federal level, and people like Kamala Harris, who co-sponsored it, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, and Cory Booker, all of them, they stayed persistent with it, and it, after 100 years, it's crazy. 2022, lynching is finally a federal crime.
Hey Quincy, quick question. What qualifies as lynching now that that's been passed? Like, what can now be encompassed within that type of law? Like, what, as an example?
What happened to Ahmaud Arbery? That would qualify as lynching. Remember Dennis Byrd?
Right, where they dragged him in Jasper, Texas.
His first name might not be Dennis. I don't want to.
It was Byrd, though. It was Byrd,
the right person. So,
but it's unique situations. It's not going to be everything, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, I think certain states actually, after Ahmaud Arbery, Georgia actually passed it as a state law, because some states already had their own anti-lynching laws, and Georgia just passed it after the whole Ahmaud Arbery deal. But just actually have it on a federal level is insane. After shit, they've been lynching for 400 years now, and
so, well, go ahead. I was just going to ask. So now that we have that, can we now add things to what's included in lynching, or then we would have to amend the bill? Or
no. You could. It's just like the hate crime laws. You had the original hate crime laws from the 1960s, and then along other shit was just added to it. Gay people was added to it. People with coronavirus that folks call the Asian bill, which really not the Asian bill, but it's just you can't fuck people up because they got corona.
So it's like the foundation that we can now build from.
Now. You
because it's signing the law, now you can add like executive orders to it.
Yeah, you can add all that shit. Yep, exactly. But
LaRonda says, she said, I want to know in 2022 who didn't want it passed.
Tired Republican side.
Just name a Republican. No, pretty much all them damn Trumpers over there.
And that was a good point they just made. Now it's for everybody, so we can get, I think we can now be charged with lynching crimes, correct too?
Would George Floyd Act have been considered lynching? Probably not. But George Floyd, his act is more police brutality. So now you have to, now that's the next one to get passed, and voting rights. Got to keep on fighting. Can I just make this one mistake? Because people be posting bullshit about Kamala Harris about how she don't want certain bills passed and things like that. Not only she was a co-sponsor on the Emmett Till Act, she actually wrote the George Floyd Act. So when people out there say she don't want to pass, that's her bill. So kind of do your research to see who wrote bills and co-sponsoring those bills before you go out there, because I think, and the reason why I speak up for Kamala, because I think she's getting they had a poll that she's the worst vice president ever. I'm like, how the fuck is that possible?
Well, you know what that's about.
I think she's getting more of a raw deal than Obama did.
I can say, that's because she's a woman, a black woman. That.
I think she's getting more of a raw deal than Obama. But yeah, she wrote along with Cory Booker and a couple of, but she's one of the authors the George Floyd Act, and she was a co-sponsor on this Emmett Till Act as well. So before we decide we can go start dogging certain black folks, and if the criticism is fair, then go for it. But if it's not there, I gotta say something. I think she's getting a real fucking raw deal. There's no way she's the worst vice president in history.
Have
Not
those
even
bots
close.
Dan
in your
Quayle.
opinion, Quincy? Yeah, in your
Not
opinion.
Mike Pence. We just
Right.
had one. We just had one. Fucking what's that serial killer Trump had? I mean, not Trump, Bush.
That's what I said. I said Dan Quayle, or are you talking about
Dick
Dick Cheney? Dick Cheney. Yeah.
I mean, we go down a list of VPs that was off the chart before we even get to her. So I just, and it's crazy. Her polls dropping, and it's like there's no really fair criticism of her work. She's trying to get shit done.
Well, I think a lot of her shit is too. Her wagon is hitched to Biden, and Biden, his approval rating is in the shitter right now, and it's because matching
hers is lower than his. How
I know.
is that possible?
Well, because again, she's black. You know what I'm saying? So it's the people who probably legitimately feel like her approval rating should be around 40, and then it's people who just like, she a black woman, she's the worst ever. Because they did the same thing to Obama. Like literally, people were just like, he's the worst president ever.
Do you guys think with Russia now in war that the bots will kind of die down for this next week? We can maybe get through some stuff without the bots.
I don't think so. I think they're gonna keep that shit going because Russia, the people who in war in Russia, they winning right now. So it ain't like they gotta stop.
Well, no, I just,
you know,
it seems like traffic is down a lot. You know, it just seems like a lot of the, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've seen it seems like a lot of the traffic, just like political traffic, has kind of died down a little bit, and it's kind of twisted, went into the war and other stuff like that.
I think a lot of people are well, you know, this is where the campaigning start. And this should be a great segue because speaking of campaigning, you know, Dan was talking to a sheriff candidate, but now people trying to go and save their ass on the political trail. I think there's a lot of good regular real black people that's running for offices in local elections, Senate, people in Louisiana. Gary Chambers, you want a real representative. Over 300 black people didn't vote last election. 300,000. And you want somebody who I feel that's really for the people. That's I mean, damn, the man burnt the Confederate flag on his commercial.
You got my vote.
I mean, if I could vote for shit, I want to go to Louisiana to register just so I, like shit, like, and so, you know, but it's going to be interesting because, oh yeah, I want to mention this. We kind of speaking of how black women being treated, how, you know, Judge Jackson was treated last week.
That was atrocious, man.
By the GOP.
That was atrocious, but it was America. That was as American as it can get, because you had a black woman who had an impeccable record and who had been the most qualified out of the last 10 justices that have been assigned or something like that.
She
married to a white man.
Right, like literally she checked every box of, and they still tried to find a way to drag her, literally make stuff up. And what was crazy was I saw it working on some black folks. I saw some black folks actually taking
the Kamala. It was very similar to how they was tricked with Kamala. I saw it too. But speaking of black men sticking up for black women, what Cory Booker did was fucking masterful.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of y'all saw it. If you want to see how,
he was just grinning the whole time.
And the thing about it, I have my issues with Cory Booker. I think he gets into my Republican friend shit too much. That shit irks the hell out of me. Because I, you know, call them friends and shit when they up here trying to just destroy every fucking agenda y'all putting up, and it just bothers my soul. But when it was time to stick up for a black woman, he definitely did that. And if you haven't seen it, go YouTube it and go see how Cory Booker really, really stood up for her. And they hate the fact, this is crazy to me, they hate the fact that she was a public defender. And to me, I think that what makes her even more qualified because she has that experience as a public defender. Thurgood Marshall was also a public defender. So I think when you've been on both sides of the fence of representing the regular people, the poor, and also, you know, being a judge, of course, you have a better understanding of the law and both sides of it. And they tried to do her record is she's clean as a whistle, and they did everything. They tried to accuse her from letting child pornography people off, all type of shit, all type of wild shit, and all of it was proven to be false.
Yeah. So, you know, shout out to her for enduring that, because like I said, that was the most American shit ever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was.
That was most. So let's get into, before we get out of here. I had an interview with sheriff candidate Eric Strong. I didn't get to ask him a couple questions. I thought about it after you know how that happens. You get off and you're like, damn, I should have asked him this and that. But he said he would love to come back and do the full show with the whole Uncouth crew. You know, let's just get into it, man. A lot of people don't know that. If y'all don't know, I interviewed Sheriff candidate Eric Strong earlier today. So go up on my page a little earlier today. If you didn't see it, share it, post it, watch it. If you watch it and you agree with what he's saying in his platform, share it and let people know. Because a lot of people don't know that we vote for our sheriff here. And we need to get Villanueva ass up out of there, because he's a Trumper who backs all of Trump's policies. So just FYI. But again, it's Eric Strong is somebody who's from our neighborhood. He's from around the way. He knows us, and he's somebody who we can talk to, somebody we know we can hold accountable if he gets voted in. And that's very important to me, because he wants us to be community partners with the police force. But in order to do that, we got to have somebody in there that gives a damn about listening to the community. What you got to say about it, Quincy?
No, I want to say, like Dame said, a lot of people are unaware that the sheriff is an elected official, and how often do you have access to where you can inbox Dame a question and ask him to ask a sheriff candidate a question? And so hopefully he'll come back on the show, but definitely get involved, pay attention. We always talk about, complaining about how law enforcement is this and that. Well, actually, here's an opportunity for you to kind of vet somebody yourself and see if they are the most qualified person, and then get behind them and push for them to be elected, and you can hold them accountable because of Dame's and Chan relationship, in the show relationship with him, that you actually have access to the top sheriff in the county. And like Dame said, you would be able to hold him accountable if his department not doing what he promised in during this campaign trail. I thought the interview was good. I thought he answered some questions that I thought maybe he probably was going to be uncomfortable answering, but he seemed pretty comfortable of answering. He was straightforward. He didn't sugarcoat. I think one of the things he didn't sugarcoat about gangs being in the sheriff. This is something like that. This shit was like a myth since we was little about the sheriffs having gangs. I remember hearing that when I was a kid. So the fact that we know now is factual. You have, and he's a part of the sheriff, so he's a lieutenant, so he knows. Our current sheriff, he's in denial, and actually we can make history, because if he is elected, he would be the first black sheriff in LA County history. So that's another thing to but we just don't want to make history for the sake of making history, and we get somebody like Clarence Thomas in there. So, but at least you'll have somebody that you can have access to, and hopefully we can set up some town hall meetings where we could get Eric to come in and sit down and take some questions for people, and he could actually meet the community up close and personal. Although he lived in the community, but at least folks from Compton, Long Beach, wherever areas you're from, LA. If you live in LA County, definitely you could come down and we could have a nice little get together and chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get with him and try to get a like you said, a town hall, maybe a meet and greet, and try to do a couple things just to start to get him more acclimated with the community, because we need that. Will's comment. He said, "Yeah, man, they need to get away to stop the driving while black. They put me over last night and claimed my taillights were out, wouldn't let me out till after they were getting in their cars. When I looked, my taillights were on. They lying to pull you over, and that's something that ain't new. And again, if we got somebody like him in, we can actually, as the citizens, go and say, look, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're going through. How can we fix this? How can we stop this? How can and it's like you said, we need somebody we can hold accountable."
One of the things I did like that he said was talking about having people from the community involved in when you file a complaint.
Yeah.
Where you would actually have somebody, if somebody coming in and file a complaint, instead of being brushed over, you actually have a community member that works within the station that's holding the department accountable to say, hey, you guys got a complaint that you need to deal with. And so I think that's huge that you actually have somebody that's willing to involve the community more in things.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so everybody, like I said, share my interview with him today and start spreading the word that we have somebody that we can actually have the ear of running for sheriff. And let's get people out to actually vote, and let's see what we got to do to galvanize and get people together to go out and vote. Because when we talk about change, and we talk about it on the show all the time, local change is where you make the quickest and the direct change to your community. And so this is one of the biggest ways we can make a direct change to the police force. And all of us as black men, we know what it's like driving in the sheriff areas. You know what I mean? Like, you got to damn near prepare yourself when you know you're driving in the sheriff areas. So yeah.
Tell me what questions you thought about later that you
it was really one I forgot to ask him about qualified immunity. Even though I personally know where he stands on it, I want to see how he would handle qualified immunity in the sheriff's department.
Well, it looked like California, the state, handled it pretty well because somebody just got rejected, and he gonna have to deal. He gonna have to deal
with them consequences.
One of the things I would like him to go into more in depth about hiring practices and making, because law enforcement always talk about those bad apples. So what's the what type of hiring practices and system you have set up to make sure you catch those bad apples before we find out that they're actually bad apples, and also to make sure that African American folks are getting fair shakes when it comes to background checks and things of that nature, to make sure that they not getting weeded out.
Yeah. Well, and for anybody, he's going to be in San Pedro Saturday. He's going to be in San Pedro Saturday doing an event from 9 to 1. I'm going to try to make it up there. And if anybody else who's watching the show would like to go up there, meet him, talk to him, try to build your own relationship with him, please feel free. And again, like I said, whenever he has an event or something, I'm going to start posting it on my page, and the rest of the Uncouth crew, we're going to start posting it. So if you want to go and reach out and touch for yourself, you can.
I'm going to tell you, well, we already know what we have with the current sheriff, but another person that's running is the former Long Beach chief. You don't want that motherfucker. I tell you firsthand. Don't get fooled by him being Latino and all that shit. Like, the first time I ever heard what a coconut was, it was somebody describing him. And we definitely have to get more involved in this election, because, like I said, these are one of those elections that us as black people, we just blow off.
Yep. And they end up having consequences for us.
And it's, you voting for who's going to be in charge of the LA County Sheriff. So all your complaints, like how you being treated, you can actually vote somebody in. And like Dame said, you could go down Saturday and meet him firsthand. And he's still a lieutenant within the department. So you can talk to him, meet him. And if you like him, definitely make sure you put out there, you vote for him and donate, because, like I said, he don't have big sponsors.
Right.
He's definitely running a community campaign. So it's going to be the community that determines whether or not his campaign survives or not. So
That's his website. I just posted his website. If you want to donate, $5, $10, $30, anything will help. We're gonna try to get us a little Uncouth fundraiser together to raise some money for him as well. But strongforsheriff.com. All right, man. Uncouth Radio. We want to thank everybody who
Sharon
joined us.
just disappeared.
Yeah, she told us she was about to take a nap, so I think her battery died and she faded black on your ass. Want to thank everybody who joined us, man. It was a great show. Thank y'all for all the interaction. Again, if you get a chance, watch the show from earlier today when I got to interview Eric Strong. If you like what he's saying and you like his platform, share, let people know what's up. And if there's things and questions you have still, like Quincy said, we got access to them. So let us know and we can still find out all the answers for everything you want and what you need. Uncouth Radio, you got any last words, Q?
Nope. Peace out.
All right, we see y'all next time, man.